I often think about how strangely human destinies unfold. Sometimes it seems that life is just a chain of coincidences, unpredictable turns, and all we can do is keep walking forward without looking back. Even if the past pulls us like a heavy shadow, I'm not the kind of person who tends to philosophize, but sometimes the past finds you on its own. And then you have to admit, what seemed forgotten forever is merely asleep, waiting for the moment to wake. My name is Alex. I grew up in a humble family. My father worked at a factory. My mother was a primary school teacher. We lived modestly in a small house on the edge of the city where everyone knew each other, where neighbors greeted each other over fences in the morning, and where the smell of fresh bread from the local bakery filled the streets. I never thought of myself as poor. We had everything we needed: a roof over our heads, warm clothes, dinner on the table, and, most importantly, love. My parents taught me to be honest, hardworking, and grateful for what I had. But, as life often proves, reality is far more complicated than childhood notions of fairness. It all began when I got into university. For my parents and me, it was an almost heroic event. No one in our family had ever received higher education before. I chose economics, dreaming of a stable job, of helping my parents and giving them a well-earned rest. I studied well, though it wasn't easy. I had to work part-time, handing out flyers, carrying boxes at a warehouse, later waiting tables in a small cafe. In the evenings, I came home tired but proud. I was moving forward toward my goal, and it felt right. She appeared in my second year, Sophia. Even her name sounded to me like something from another life, light, musical, like the wind in the mountains. I remember the first time I saw her, in a classroom flooded with autumn sunlight, sitting by the window, writing something in her notebook. The light crowned her hair with a golden halo, and I thought I had never seen anything more beautiful. She had a peculiar manner. She seemed unreachable, but not arrogant, just different, not like anyone else. Sophia was born into a wealthy family. Her father owned a construction company. Her mother did charity work. They lived in a large house downtown, drove expensive cars, traveled the world. I learned this later, from classmates who whispered about her as if she were a princess. But at first, none of that mattered to me. I just wanted to be near her. I wanted to hear her laugh, see her smile. I wanted her to notice me. At first, I didn't dare approach her. She hung out with people from her world, confident, well-dressed, those who came to university in their own cars. I came in my old coat, with a backpack that had seen better days. But fate, as if toying with me, arranged everything itself. One day we ended up in the same seminar group, and trembling with nerves, I spoke to her. It turned out Sophia was not only beautiful but intelligent, attentive, and kind. She listened, asked questions, laughed at my clumsy jokes. I couldn't believe my luck. She, and I, a simple worker's son. That's how our friendship began. We talked a lot, studied together, walked along the riverside after classes. She told me about her dreams, traveling, studying art, helping people. I told her mine: modest, grounded, find a good job, build a house, give my parents a peaceful life. Sophia smiled and said I was too serious for my age, but I simply couldn't afford the luxury of dreaming the impossible. I fell in love with her in a way one does only once, completely, recklessly, with all my heart. I caught every glance, every word. For her, I studied harder, worked longer, took every extra shift so I could buy her something. A theater ticket, a cup of coffee at a cozy cafe. She accepted these little things with gentle gratitude, as if it were natural. And I didn't mind. Every moment with her felt like a miracle. Sometimes I caught myself thinking this couldn't last, that one day she'd go back to her world, where there was no place for me. But I pushed those thoughts away. After all, I saw warmth in her eyes. And can anyone pretend with such sincerity? 2 years passed. We became close, not as lovers, but in some special, fragile way. She could call me in the middle of the night just to talk. I ran to her whenever she was sad, helped her with everything, supported her. Sometimes I thought she felt something more too. But every time I tried to confess, fear stopped me. I was afraid to destroy what little we had. One spring evening, under blooming trees in the park, I finally told her, "Sophia, I love you." She was silent for a long time, then sighed and looked at me with sorrow. "Alex, you're wonderful, but we come from different worlds. You deserve someone who can share your life, understand your path. And I can't. I'm sorry." Her words struck like a blow to the chest. The world turned gray, the sounds dimmed. I tried to smile, to say it was fine, but inside everything was collapsing. That night I couldn't sleep, staring at the ceiling, thinking that maybe things would change. But they didn't. A few months later, I learned Sophia was seeing someone, a businessman's son, someone like her. I saw them together once. He held her hand, and she smiled. Then I understood my world had truly changed. I started avoiding her, though my heart longed to see her. She tried to talk, but I couldn't. I needed to forget, and you can't forget while looking into the eyes of the one you love. I graduated and found a job at a small bank. My parents were proud of me. They were getting older, tired, but happy to see their son standing on his feet. I worked hard, filling the emptiness with numbers and reports. And in the evenings, I returned to my small apartment and listened to the silence. Time passed. Sophia got married. I found out by chance through social media. A lavish wedding, expensive hall, a radiant bride. I stared at the screen and felt something tear inside again. But there were no tears, only fatigue. It was all predictable. She had gone where she belonged. And I remained here. Meanwhile, my parents' health began to fail. My father coughed often. My mother's heart grew weak. I took them to doctors, bought medicine, tried to ease their days. They worried about me. They saw I was alone, that the light in my eyes had faded. One day my mother said, "Son, you work so hard, but life is not only about work. We'd like to see you start a family, to know you won't be alone." I didn't know what to say. Love, for me, had been won, and it was gone. But I couldn't deny my parents their last wish. And perhaps, deep down, I too was tired of being alone. That's how I met Emma. She worked at our company, in accounting, calm, kind, with a gentle smile. We didn't talk much at first, but her presence soothed me. No pretense, no masks. Everything about her was simple and real. We started spending time together, movies, walks by the river. Gradually, I realized that being with her felt easy. No pain, no expectations. When I told my parents about her, they cried with joy. "You see, son," my mother said, "God never abandons us." We married quietly, without grandeur. Just a dinner with close ones, flowers, laughter. And, surprisingly, I didn't feel sadness, only peace. Emma became my friend, my home. With her, silence was warm. She never asked about the past, never tried to dig into wounds long healed. She was simply there. Years passed. We lived simply, but happily. My parents lived to old age, saw their grandchildren. I often found myself thinking that this calm, steady rhythm was true happiness. Not a flash of passion, but a quiet river, reflecting the sun. One day, many years later, I met Sophia again. In the city center, on a street I used to walk as a student. She stood by a shop window, thoughtful, older, yet still beautiful. I walked up and greeted her. In her eyes, I saw recognition, then sadness. We talked. She told me her marriage hadn't worked out. Her husband had cheated, treated her coldly, and eventually left. They'd had no children. Now she worked in an art gallery, living alone. "And you?" she asked. "I'm married. 2 kids. We're happy." Sophia smiled, but there was pain in her eyes. She said softly, "You are always the one I was looking for. I just didn't know it then." I didn't know what to say. Inside me there was a strange feeling. Not joy, not revenge, but pity. Not even for her, but for those 2 young people we once were. Naive, foolish, so sure we knew what we wanted. We said goodbye, and I walked on. That evening, I came home. Emma was cooking dinner, the children laughing in the next room. I hugged my wife, felt the warmth of her hands, the scent of her hair. And I knew I was exactly where I belonged. Sometimes I wonder, if Sophia had loved me back then, how would my life have turned out? Maybe it would have been different. Or maybe I wouldn't have become who I am now. Because love isn't only passion and romance. It's a choice, a commitment, the ability to stay not only in joy but also in silence when no words are needed. I no longer search the past for reasons. Everything that happened was necessary to learn to value the present, to understand that happiness isn't loud or perfect, but found in simple things, children's laughter, a loved one's tired hands, evening tea, quiet after a long day. Sophia remains a part of my story, a lesson without which I wouldn't be myself. And Emma, she's my future, my life. And if I were given the chance to choose again, I do walk the same road, with all its pain, mistakes, and losses. Because only through them did I find what's real. Happiness doesn't come when everything goes according to plan. It comes when you accept life as it is. And maybe that's what true love really is. The ability to let go of the past and be grateful for what you have.